Apple versus Microsoft, the infinite battle. Look around you. Look at your smartphone, at your PC, or at your laptop. Every technological aspect that you use in your day-to-day life has been influenced by two people, two masterminds. Only a few cases of competition have marked not only the technology industry, but also society as a whole, as much as the war between Apple and Microsoft. These two companies completely evolved the world of computers, the internet, and everything that came after. Despite the differences, both Apple and Microsoft have left their mark on the technology industry. Apple revolutionized music with the iPod, changed the way we use smartphones with the iPhone, and reinvented the computer with the MacBook. Microsoft became a leader in business software with products such as Microsoft Office and ventured into the world of game consoles with the Xbox. Today, we will venture to discover this incredible story, the story of how minds collided, revolutionized the world, and continue to do so as an infinite battle. Throughout the history of mankind, countless men and women have made technological advances to improve our daily lives. From prehistoric times to the present day, inventions of all kinds have led to big improvements in the way we relate to the world. But just as some people work together to achieve results, others generated breakthroughs as a result of their beliefs. We cannot tell their story without knowing the two guys behind it, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. Steve Jobs was born in San Francisco on February 24, 1955. Son of a relationship between two young university students, Abdul Fattah Jandali and Joanne Carol Schiebel. The couple did not have enough financial resources to take care of a baby, so they gave him up for adoption. From the moment on, the married couple, Paul Jobs and Clara Hogopin, both of Armenian origin, took care of little Steve. The family moved to Mountain View in 1961, south of Palo Alto. There, Steve Jobs attended middle school and high school. As soon as he started to grow, he became curious about computers. From an early age, he began attending lectures and workshops organized by Hewlett-Packard. Such was his interest that he was given a summer scholarship. He was later hired and met Stephen Wozniak, who would also go on to co-found Apple. In 1972, he gets to enter Reed College in Oregon. But let's just say that he didn't like it so much, so he only stayed there for 6 months. After that stint at the university, he returned home to Palo Alto. However, he did not stay for long as he went on a spiritual retreat to India. Shortly thereafter, Steve Jobs was hired by the video game company Atari. As you can see, Steve was never a normal boy. He was always a little bit special. The people around him considered him a genius from a very young age. They knew that something good was waiting for him in the future. Jobs dropped Atari, but with an idea in his mind, a way to get technology to every home in America, a way to revolutionize the world. Stephen Wozniak and Steve Jobs teamed up to manufacture and market their first computer. They worked out of Jobs' garage in Cupertino and created the first personal computer, Apple I. With this creation, a new era began in the United States, and sometime later, all over the world. But before we continue with Steve, we have to meet our other protagonist, who put the Apple empire in check for a while, Bill Gates. Our boy Bill was born the same year as Jobs, October 28, 1955, in Seattle. Son of a lawyer and a university professor, he is the younger of two brothers. The family's good economic position allowed him to attend one of the most prestigious schools in the United States, Lakeside. After graduating, he went to Harvard, where he would start becoming a computer geek. Without having finished his degree in 1975, some years after Apple, he founds a small company. The name of this company was Microsoft. Up to that point, he and his friend Paul Allen had created several computer programs that they sold to different companies. In the mid-70s, people were more focused on the creation of hardware than software, which allowed them to achieve a lot of fame and money in a short period of time. Jobs was known for his obsession with design and quality, believing that products should be beautiful, both inside and out, and that they should be easy to use. Gates, on the other hand, focused more on functionality and efficiency. With the two companies now established and growing for decades, the most famous technology war in history began. Apple versus Microsoft, a story full of betrayals, lawsuits, and a lot of controversy. As the 1970s progressed, both Apple and Microsoft found success in their respective niches. Apple was gaining popularity with its Apple II, which was proving to be a popular personal computer. Meanwhile, Microsoft was focused on developing programming most of the software for various computer platforms. In the early 1980s, the path of Apple and Microsoft began to converge. Despite their differences and occasional legal disputes, the companies recognized the potential for collaboration. Microsoft saw an opportunity to expand its software reach by developing applications for Apple's growing line of computers. After a pair of negotiations, Microsoft officially started developing software for the Apple environment. In the 1980s, Jobs initiated the development of the original Macintosh, a new line of computers following Apple, and wanted Microsoft to create a version of BASIC and other application programs. Gates accepted the proposal and was excited about the possibility of creating graphics software for the Macintosh that would take the personal computer to a whole new level. The first problems started to come out after a while. At the time, Microsoft was trying to join the operating system world with DOS. As Jobs and his team began working closely with Microsoft, they worried that they would copy the Macintosh GUI and make their own version. They were right to worry. Gates believed that graphical interfaces were the future, and that Microsoft had as much right as Apple to use the desktop metaphor idea. In their original agreement, Jobs had convinced Gates that Microsoft would not create graphics software for anyone else until a year had passed since the Macintosh debut in January 1983. Unfortunately for Apple, the company did not contemplate the possibility that the Macintosh launch would be delayed by a year. The Microsoft founder often traveled to see demonstrations of the Macintosh operating system. Although he was not impressed, Microsoft assigned a large team to create applications for the Mac. And even though Jobs felt that they were not in good taste, Microsoft programmers were persistent and improved their applications. This meant that Gates was within his rights to announce in November 1983 that Microsoft planned to develop a new operating system for IBM computers called Windows, which incorporated a graphical interface with windows, icons, and a mouse for navigation. Jobs wasn't happy at all. He decided to try taking action to confront Bill. Apple sued Microsoft for infringing on its copyrights and patents. The lawsuit alleged that Microsoft had copied the design and graphical interface of the Macintosh, which was an original creation. The lawsuit dragged on for years and years. It was a hot topic in the technology industry. Something like this had never happened like that. Although Apple argued that Microsoft had stolen its idea, at the end, the judge ruled that Microsoft had not infringed copyright and had the right to develop an operating system with a similar graphical interface. Microsoft had won. With this incident, Apple and Microsoft decided to part ways. For years, they had no relationship. In 1985, Steve Jobs was fired from Apple. It was done by John Sculley, an entrepreneur whom Jobs himself had hired from Pepsi when he asked him to resign from the board because he focused on design and technology and neglected the business. This decision brought a dark era for Apple. While Microsoft succeeded, Apple lost more power in the industry. In 1997, Jobs returned to Apple. Bill Gates decided to invest $150 million in the company. The investment helped the technology company move forward and become a turning point for the company. Despite the rivalry between the two entrepreneurs, Steve Jobs was grateful for Bill Gates' involvement in the development of new software for Apple. This took many followers of the Apple brand by surprise, who, during a Jobs keynote speech, greeted the Microsoft founder with boos. Jobs had kind words for Gates in his autobiography. "Bill is a genius, and I respect him enormously," he wrote. "Although we are fiercely competitive, we also learn from each other. Bill and I have kept in touch over the years, and I am very grateful for his friendship and for the help he gave us at a critical time in Apple's history." After Jobs passed away in 2011, Bill Gates remembered his rival with a few words on his official blog. "I am deeply saddened to hear of Steve Jobs' death. Melinda and I extend our deepest condolences to his family and friends, and to all the people Steve has touched through his work. Steve and I met nearly 30 years ago and have been colleagues, competitors, and friends for more than half of our lives. The text adds, "The world rarely sees someone who has the profound impact that Steve has had, the effects of which will be felt for many generations. For those of us who have been fortunate enough to work with them, it has been a great honor. I will miss Steve terribly." Despite their many differences, Jobs and Gates, who respected each other and were good friends, both helped with their companies to develop the technology industry. The competition of these two companies was not only limited to lawsuits. Even today, even with both leaders out of command, they were still competing with their hardware and software, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. It becomes evident that the war between Apple and Microsoft is not simply about market dominance or profit margins, but about the relentless pursuit of innovation and the enduring quest to shape the future of computing. In the end, the story of Apple and Microsoft is not just a tale of two companies, but a reflection of the power of technology and also for the impact it has in our lives.